Compared to the past, Bitcoin is actually an investment vehicle that falls less, is more resilient, and performs better. If I said that, you'd probably curse me out, right? Because emotionally, we're very angry. I'm very angry too. Sometimes I even think maybe this place has just become a dump. But what did I just say? I used a word here? We're angry. Anger is an emotion, friends. However, whether a successful investor is an amateur or highly professional, when investing, when making decisions, they need to do it free from emotions. They need to be rational. Actually, I'm going to explain how Bitcoin has performed better compared to its past performance. And there seems to be a rise in March, but then a decline is seen afterwards. We'll take a look at those. Let's move on to our video. Welcome back to my video, friends. Before the video starts, I would be very happy if you like this video and leave a comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Actually, people are saying that the 4-year cycle has been broken, but friends, it hasn't been broken. There's a content creator in the crypto community whom I really enjoy following. The analyst is Benjamin Cowan. I've come across some really interesting data about this in his analyses. Now, I'm going to explain this to you again. Friends, what you see here is Bitcoin's weekly chart, and here you can see this. We had a halving in July 2016. Then in May 2020, 4 years later, we had another halving. And in April 2024, about 4 years later, we had another halving. And every year after a halving, for example, after it happened in 2016, Bitcoin reached its peak level in the last quarter of 2017. Let's take a look at this here. The halving happens in 2016, and in the last quarter of 2017, in November, Bitcoin hits its peak. I remember the $19,000 levels like it was yesterday. A lot of time has passed since then. We even had videos from almost 10 years ago. Almost. After that, guys, it hits the peak on the date I mentioned, and then it experiences a crash. When did that happen? In February. So it hits the top level in the last quarter. Then the bear market starts. And in February, it experiences a crash. The exact same thing happens to Bitcoin after the 2020 halving, guys. It goes through the 2020 halving. Then the last quarter of 2021, again, it's November. Look, you can see it here. It says November at the bottom. It hits the peak in November. What level did it reach? It reached $68,900. And then in February, it suddenly dropped to $33,000. And again, we hit a bottom and the bear period began. After that, friends, we had a halving in 2024, and in 2025, in the last quarter, around October, we saw the peak of Bitcoin at $125,000. If history repeats itself, $125,000 will be our recent peak. Bitcoin reached its peak and we might experience a bear season. And then in February, friends, we experience a drop. Now, when we look at previous years, in 2018, friends, we experienced a 70% drop, and it was very short-lived. After that, in 2022, friends, we experienced a 52% drop. It was very brief. And right now we are in 2026. We experienced about a 48% drop. This time it's different. We haven't dropped 70 or 52%, but 48% so far. There's a chance we could see lower levels, but it doesn't look like we will. And when we look at it, while in the past we dropped very quickly, now the decline has been slower. Its performance is better. It's a more resilient instrument. Now here's the point that stands out. We're going to go back in time because yes, we saw the peak in the last quarter. After that, friends, we see a rise in March. This happens repeatedly. Now don't think this is small. It's because of the scale of the chart. When I zoom in like this, look. Look, friends, we see peaks in February and we rise in March. So it showed a performance from about $5,000 to $11,000. Of course, back then, volatility was higher. It moved much faster. When I say more stable, I'm talking about lower volatility. Then in 2022, friends, during the 21 to 22 period, again in February 22, we see a drop to the $30,000 levels. And in March, friends, it goes like this. Let's show March. We go up from $30,000 to $48,000. Again, the rise is nice. Now we've come and seen. And the $68,000 levels. Now in this chart, again in March, $100,000. Maybe there's a high chance we'll see a bit above that. Especially since $100,000 is a psychological resistance, I expect another rise in that area. But afterwards, when we look at the past, May, June, and the summer seasons go worse. So a rise is expected in March. I'm talking about Bitcoin. After that, as we head into summer, we see a much sharper dip. After that, Bitcoin rises again and starts its new adventure, its new cycle. Yes, right now Bitcoin is actually showing a good performance. Bitcoin is saying there's strong investment because right now it's at $60,000. Maybe in 2 to 3 years, we'll see $300,000, $400,000 in Bitcoin. So when you look at it, there's a chance for a 5 times to 10 times performance against the dollar. And this seems very little to you. It feels insufficient. I think that's a very strong rate, guys. Whether you have $1, $10, or $100,000, this is a great rate. Turning 1,000 into 10,000 is very valuable. Once you turn that 10,000 into 100,000, it's the real turning point. This makes Bitcoin very attractive. I think it has a lot of potential for the future. I'm talking about Bitcoin here. Now, we're looking at the Fear and Greed Index. Fear and Greed Index. When we look at this, we've actually set a record, and it's at the lowest level in history. So this means there's an extreme amount of fear. Fear is very low. And in short, people are practically wetting themselves out of fear. That's how scared people are of crypto right now. This is what's called an all-time low. ATL, the lowest level of all time. It's like we believe the pot can give birth, so we'll believe it can die too. Now, it's supposedly dead. This is the level where we're told it's dead, but I doubt it. Bitcoin, that is. Now, here's where something else comes into play. When I saw this chart, something came to my mind. Warren Buffett came to mind. Warren Buffett says, be a fearful investor when everyone is greedy, and be a greedy investor when everyone is fearful. That's what Warren Buffett says. Of course, I'm not planning to go and buy random meme coins here either. I think it's time for meme coins for shit coins to finally come to an end. But I'm wondering if maybe slowly just a little Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum maybe, if we want to take some risk. Solana, BNB, Doge, things like that. Should we be accumulating these coins gradually in stages? It kind of feels to me like they're starting to give a little signal now. What do you think about this? Write your thoughts in the comments. But as I mentioned, I'm not talking about buying all of them right now. I'm talking about doing it step by step, gradually. And yes, we've broken the all-time record in the Fear and Greed Index. We're at the point in history where crypto investors are the most fearful. So basically, no one believes in it anymore. They say it's dead. Bitcoin is dead. Right now, they're saying cryptocurrencies are dead. Now everyone is scared. We'll build slowly. Where can we accumulate from? By scanning the QR code you see on the screen right now, or by using the link in the video description, you can register on Binance. After completing identity verification, you can both withdraw up to $600. You have a chance to earn a bonus and also get a 20% commission discount. At the same time, you can also buy precious metals like silver, gold, platinum, or even US stock indices, all through Binance. So, in your opinion, why has the market crashed so hard recently? You can actually see the reason for this on the screen right now. Trump, for months now, he insulted. Who did he insult? Fed Chairman Powell. He thinks he's an idiot. He didn't lower the interest rates, so he's very angry. He wants him to lower the interest rates. And he blames Powell for the market being in this state. And what is everyone expecting? When Powell is replaced, a dove will take his place. In other words, we're expecting a Fed chairman who supports monetary easing and favors lowering interest rates, the kind of chairman we all dream of, because that's what Powell did. But fortunately, Powell's term ends on May 15th. He has only 2 months left. And we're all eagerly waiting for the new Fed chairman to be nominated by the new Trump. And Trump has put forward Kevin Warsh for this position. He nominated him, and the market crashed. This is also one of the reasons why gold and silver crashed. But why did the market crash? Because this guy is a hawk. He's the hawk of all hawks, clearly advocating for a tight monetary policy. He says we shouldn't rush to lower interest rates. And the market reacted excessively to this. For example, Bitcoin suddenly dropped from $100,000 to $60,000. Altcoins melted away. I'm not that negative. Why? Because I think Trump met with Kevin Warsh before nominating him. I believe the person he would nominate would be someone who guarantees a rate cut. Now, as we'll see in the video in a moment, Trump thinks interest rates should be lowered quickly. Trump says every time we cut rates by 100 basis points, we'll save $600 billion. If we were to implement a reduction of interest rates by 200 basis points, there would be absolutely no remaining budget deficit whatsoever. So, in a comprehensive summary of his position, Trump is clearly stating that interest rates will go down, and they will do so quite quickly. Here, in this specific context, he is strongly suggesting and implying the necessity of a cut of at least 200 basis points to achieve these goals. This is just a piece of information. If you think about it, this is just a piece of information. We should have the lowest price difference in the world. That's why I take Switzerland as an example. Because we should have the lowest price difference for everyone. In Switzerland, the price difference is the lowest. I do not pay them those tariffs at all. And I do not pay them anything else either. They do it very well. They do it very well. I kept them very well, but they do it very well. And many other countries do it very well too. This country should have the lowest needs in the world. We keep moving forward in the world. Am I being too optimistic? No. Especially for crypto, it looks like we have a bit of a tense period ahead. As I said, after March, we might see another wave of decline. Geopolitical risks keep continuing without pause. I'm expecting a peak. For crypto, again, for this year, I expect another U-turn there before the midterm elections around November, before the midterm elections in America. And again, I feel like we'll see a bit of monetary expansion there. But this is not a reverse bull season for cryptos. By the way, friends, nothing I explain in this video is investment advice. Everything is my personal opinion and research. Please make your own evaluations when making investment decisions. It's impossible for us to know this about the future. This is my personal amateur opinion. I think Bitcoin will rise in March and then we could drop below the February lows again, meaning it could fall below 60,000. May, maybe June, but after that we might see an autumn lull. Like in October or November, because there's a midterm election in November. So September, October, and November could be a bit better for cryptos. But you have to reduce your risks. Now you have to take control yourself. If you say, I want to multiply my money by 100 all at once, that money will end up going to someone else, my friends. Instead, what you need to do is learn how to double it. The game of doubling. If you double your money every year, you are one of the best investors in the world. Don't forget this. What if I double $100? That's not it. It's a huge achievement turning 1K into 2K. What if I did that with 10K to make 20K? If you do that, it's a big achievement. Turning 100,000 into 200,000 is a huge win. Double $1,000 8 times and you're a millionaire. I think that's a huge achievement. So instead of chasing after silly things, stop dreaming about getting rich from meme coins and focus on real value. Focus on Bitcoin. Let's focus on good stocks on the NASDAQ. Let's secure ourselves by keeping 20% of our portfolio in precious metals. Friends, I hope my video was clear and that it was able to offer you something, friends. Of course, feel free to ask any questions you have in the comments. I read and reply to the comments, and interacting with you there gives me a lot of joy. Hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.